Monday, April 4th, 2022. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm George Gerbo. Demands have mounted from world leaders that Russia be held accountable for atrocities and human rights abuses carried out in Ukraine. Guy Taylor reports Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of carrying out a genocide, claiming the Russian government has committed gross abuses, including the torture and murder of children. The comments come after Ukrainian troops reported finding bodies with bound hands, gunshot wounds to the head, and signs of torture in the town of Bucha on the outskirts of Kyiv. Germany said the West will soon impose more sanctions on Russia in response to the war crimes reports, and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg called the killing of civilians in the town horrific, saying on CNN it's a brutality against civilians we haven't seen in Europe for decades. Military and intelligence officials say that U.S. intelligence agencies misjudged Russia's military capabilities in the weeks leading up to the invasion of Ukraine, and also believe that Ukraine's military was ill-prepared to resist and would be quickly defeated. Bill Gertz reports officials have disclosed recently to Congress that both of those intelligence assessments were wrong, and now the scramble is on to determine why. Air Force General Todd Wolters told the House Armed Services Committee that there appears to be shortcomings with intelligence, including gaps in reporting prior to Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to invade. Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Mark Warner backed up their performance, saying that intelligence agencies accurately predicted the invasion would be from multiple routes and not limited to eastern Ukraine. The Biden administration will remove its Title 42 border policy, an emergency plan to help limit immigration to curb the spread of COVID-19, on May 23rd. Stephen Dinan reports the administration says that with lower infection rates and migrants able to get vaccines, the risk of spread is low enough to end the emergency. Migrants who were immediately expelled under Title 42 will now have a chance to argue for admission, which experts say will fuel a new wave of people making the attempt. Near record levels of border arrests, currently about 8,000 a day, could surge to 18,000 according to Homeland Security's own contingency planning. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. If you don't have access to the Times yet, you can visit WashingtonTimes.com/George for a special subscription offer. The Department of Education is proposing updated requirements that charter schools must meet to access roughly $440 million in federal grants. Susan Ferricchio reports those dollars are mostly used for startup costs and implementing technology. To get the money, charter schools would first have to prove the surrounding school district has an unmet demand that will be filled by the charter school, including any over-enrollment of existing public schools. Education Department officials said the new rules, which will go into effect following a 30-day comment period that ends later this month, would improve quality and accountability in charter schools. Talk about recusal is the rage at the Supreme Court as questions and conversation abound about when justices should remove themselves from hearing cases. Alex Sawyer reports Democrats are demanding Justice Clarence Thomas recuse himself from any cases dealing with the fallout from the 2020 election after revelations that his wife had pressed the administration to try to change the results. Meanwhile, Republicans got likely to be confirmed Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to say she will recuse herself from a looming case involving racial preferences in Harvard University's admissions policy. Jackson sits on Harvard's Board of Overseers. There are no binding rules involving recusal for the court, and several legal experts said barring specific conflicts of interest, justices have a duty to try to hear every case. And finally, America's Ivy League universities won't feature any conservative commencement speakers when they return to in-person graduations this spring. Sean Salai reports none of the nation's 8 Ivy League universities, including Princeton, Harvard, Yale, and Columbia, have invited a conservative to speak as they return from pandemic-driven virtual ceremonies. In keeping with their respective traditions, Cornell's speaker will be University President Martha Pollack, and Brown will feature student speakers. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us on any major podcast platform. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.